All right, so here we got just an example of using this dashboard and how we can potentially project someone's performance based for next year based on current performances. So here we have an athlete, second year high school, sophomore year, male athlete who during his sophomore year ran the 100 meters with the best time of 11.64, ran the 200 meters with the best time of 23.54, and who also did the 110-meter hurdles with a best time of 15.96. We can see that there are big improvements in their hurdle performance. Not so much of improvement in the 200 and a little bit of improvement in the 100. All of this information is taken together to help gather these estimates, right? So it's not just their best performance, it is also the trajectory of the performance and also the shape in when you graph the performance is the shape that it makes is involved in these projections. So for next year projections, so these are just estimates on what they could potentially perform the next year for their junior year. Now, this is all based on historical data, using statistical methods to based on historical data to project this information. And with this information, we also look at different models, so to speak. So we always look at the direct comparison from their 100 meter from outdoor to the, what their potential performance could be the next year. And we can also do any combination of two events. Like in this case, we have the 100 meter outdoor and 200 meter outdoor to help give a prediction. We see here that with the current best of 11.64 leads to about this point. Now we see a spread in the estimates, which is completely normal because, especially with the high school athletes, there's a lot of variability in what people have ran in the past. So this is just kind of a point here. So we can look at the midpoint just to give us a guide to what their potential performance could be. It could land in and around this area, but we also need to take into consideration other things like their health, injuries, so on and so forth. So an example here, we have like predicted from the 100 meters a midpoint of 11.54 seconds the following year, and this is based on 1,326 training records of individuals from sophomore males to junior males who have ran the 100 meters. So same thing with this one, who have ran both the 100 and 200. We have over 1,000, and from those who ran the 200, predicting that further. One little thing I can see, at least based on the 200 meters and potentially part of their best performance might indicate a little faster performance. Maybe their 200 is a little better as far as performance is related on the track, which gives a little bit of a faster estimate. However, the training of the data, how do I put it? The data may not suggest that. I also use these values here on the right, this R squared value. This just kind of tells us if we were using the data that was trained to create these models, what would be like about a percentage of prediction that we would get something correct with that. So remember, these are just estimates for prediction. Sometimes it could show that performance is going to be slower, in which case this is just something to look at, to think of as a coach, or maybe bring to your coach, like what could we fix that would help us beat these models, so to speak, right? So here's just an example of that. And then we have a 200. Part of this that comes up, this elite level estimate, it's primarily shown with in the top 10% of performances based on the data. So in this case, on their personal best time, they were faster than 1,126 of the 1,224 sophomores at the event, as that's available in the data. And here we can see that based on their 200 and along with adding the 100, we may expect a faster performance. in the 200 itself, having the highest fit um, in the 100 200. It might so combining the 100 200 may give us a little bit more of an input, um, maybe confidence in a sense, not so much, but of what their performance could be. And also the first two, like we see here, is just off by 1/100th of a second. So, take that with a grain of salt. But this kind of shows us that we might be able to perform a little better. And it's up to the coach and potentially the athlete how much we can actually improve. And there's also, like I mentioned, a lot of variables that go into it. One thing that I guess I didn't put in, oop, I had to do this one, not the 100 hurdles, the 110-meter hurdles. We also have a little elite level um, estimate, faster than 580 out of the 602 sophomores, which also showed that 88% of these athletes, the peer group, so basically this takes a range of the individuals around that data, um, and about 25 athletes were around this data, and 88% of those individuals improved. One thing that we can see here is really when you just take the 200 by itself or any of the only track events, so excluding any of the hurdles, we're going to get slower estimates. And in that case, I mean, it is what it is. You're not gonna get a lot of information from this. I think the main one that we're gonna get information from is the 110-meter hurdles plus the 100 meters. So here we have a 0.8 R squared. R squared is just kind of accounts what the variability might be, or is accounted for with this data. And we see that we could have a midpoint of 1503. And that might be the better estimate also, because if we recall in the performances here, so we go from 18 seconds to 15.96, so we see that there is a lot of improvement that happened. Potentially, this might have been their first year doing the hurdles and improved overall. So yeah, from here, we can gather some information like we see down here with these fits down here, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3. I wouldn't even use this as anything helpful in the sense. So honestly, this one with 0.8 might be the most helpful to kind of determine what their improvement might be. So this is just one way, an example of how we can use the dashboard to help predict future performances. I will include different types of performances and in different events, so on and so forth. This is just an individual who did 3 events during one outdoor track season, didn't have any indoor track information, which we can also include, right? Because we can also include the 55 meters, 1, 2, the 300-meter indoor, 400 outdoor, 55-meter hurdles indoor, 110 outdoor for males, 100-meter hurdles outdoor for females, and the 400-meter hurdles. So I'll be adding more events soon. I think the next one would be the long jump, but this kind of can help you decide maybe if you need to work on different parts of the race with an athlete, whether it's the actual start itself, being able to perform better acceleration. We can also talk about if we need to spend more time in the weight room, more time with race modeling, how to actually run a race, so on and so forth. There's a lot of things we can talk about. So feel free to reach out if you want any of this. The website is movemeasure.com. There is an athlete tab that you can go to, and it'll give you the information you need.